Excuse me. Hello!
Yay! It's your fairy hag mother, Samantha.
And I forgot what I planned to say. Mason.
And if you're not aware, we're dressed up for a very special occasion. Today is the 2020 BL Awards presented by your hosts, Samantha and Mason.
Mm-hmm.
And this is purely about our opinion, so if you don't agree, suck it.
Yeah, I will put I'll put all the categories in the description so you can kind of follow along. If you want to put your own answers in the comments, that'd be really fun. We didn't do like nominees like the Academy Awards or anything. It's straight what the category is and what our individual answers are. So if you want to play along in the comments, that'd be really fun. But again, this is our opinion. So if your fave doesn't win what you want it to win, y'all, this is a Boys Love Award show on a very small YouTube channel. I don't know what you're expecting.
This is literally the award. It is a Namjoon BTS doll wearing bracelets and dog tags. There's no budget for this. Nobody's getting a real award in the mail.
The other award is my empty coffee cup. You're welcome.
There you go. But we decided to do it like this just because, I mean, we have now, at this point in the year, reviewed over 20 Boys Love shows, and about half of them took place in either 2019 or 2020. And so we felt like it would be a good end cap on the year to kind of do a bit of reflection, look back, honoring some of our favorite moments. But again, this was about our show. It wasn't necessarily about the opinions of the audience. And in order to do a large scale voted for awards type format, we would have had to post polls, try to get people to respond to those polls. And so we felt like better just give our opinion of what we felt during the year, our sometimes opposing opinions of what we felt during the year, and just kind of celebrate the moments that were 2020. Because this is probably one of the only good things to happen in 2020, to be quite honest with you.
Mm-hmm. And just so you guys know, we're not involving 2019. Like, a show can start in 2019, but the bulk of its airing has to have been aired in 2020. So for example, Thorn-type season 1 is not counted. Unfortunately, even though I'm sure we both wanted to count it, because most of it aired in 2019, we cannot count Thorn-type for this year.
Yes, and that's why shows like Cherry Maho are being included, even though they will not conclude until next year, because the bulk of the viewing happened in 2020.
No, Cherry Magic ends next week, I think.
I thought we had 2 more episodes, but that's okay.
Isn't it 12 episodes?
Me never mind. There are still some shows that are airing. A show that I can think of that's still airing, there's Manor of Death, there's Tonhon Chonlati, there's Thorn-type 2 is still airing, even though it's mostly completed this year. It's over the halfway mark. So there's shows that are currently airing, shows that have done substantial completion in 2020, and then there's shows that ended in 2020 and had their entire run in 2020. Another example of a show that kind of carried over from year to year, I think, is Until We Meet Again. I think that was another one that it started a little bit earlier, but substantial conclusion in 2020.
Yeah, so that one will be on here. Maybe. No spoilers.
No, come on, guys. Come on, guys.
All right, so should we get started?
Yes, let us begin. I've got my notebook here with all my choices, and I'm super excited to talk about them. Hey.
Man, now someone's just gonna pause there at your notebook.
So if you want spoilers, that's fine. I mean, I'm giving you the lowest of quality in terms of broadcast, so good luck.
They're zooming in like,
Pixels, yum.
Okay, so the first award we have is the Best Newcomer Award. Would you like to give your answer first?
Yes. In a year filled with a lot of brand new faces for Boys Love, this face absolutely stood out. And my choice for the winner of Best Newcomer is Min Meta Win from Together.
Ooh, good pick. I picked Lay from My Engineer and why.
So, I mean, it's obvious why I picked Win. He's somebody who had never been seen on, I think, anything prior to this year. And he made Together. Don't get me wrong, bright, did his part as well. But when, from the very first moment we see him, just something about his demeanor made me fall for him in a way that I had not been expecting, and is why I was so emotionally distraught when his season ended in a hug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I picked Tile for obvious reasons. He was like a supporting character, and I don't even know. Supporting characters in Thai shows can be like, he had one line in one episode and then was in the background the rest of it. So he was a supporting character in one show in 2017, but he didn't have anything else until 2020 when he labbed 2 main roles, and both very different characters. And I think he was a bright spot in both shows that he was in. And I just had to pick him because, as we discussed in our My Engineer review, we think he's the future of voice love. So had to pick him.
All right. So our next category is Best Comedic Sidekick. And while I cannot nominate myself, I think I've done a relatively good job that deserves to be looked at this year. But no, my choice for the winner of Best Comedic Sidekick was Green from Together. I know Together's really coming strong out the box, but hear me out here. For me, Green was the person who I looked at the most in a story as somebody I could not wait to see back on the screen. Every time he was in a scene, I wanted more of him. Every time it seemed like he might show up, I was excited. And even in Still Together, I felt like his scenes were not overbearing. They made sense where they were. And so I just really loved Green. And I thought he was incredibly funny. One of my favorite moments is during the time when Tyne is trying to get Green to not want to date him, they have Tyne's friends pretend to be thugs to try to beat Green up, and Green roundly whoops their ass. I just love that. And so shout out to you, Gunn Karawit. I hope that your future is filled with appearances. I hope that we see more and more of you. I think you're an amazing actor, and I really appreciated your appearance in this series this year.
I agree. I love Green. He was so fun. I went with Manal from Until We Meet Again because she kept that show fun. That show really dragged in the middle. But every time she was on screen, I was like, here we go. We're going to have a good time. And I was here. She was a very supportive friend to everyone. And I am almost never here for the straights, but I am pissed that they did her dirty. Her man is hot. She does get a man, but they have like 2 scenes together, and then they get together in like a one minute sequence in the last episode. And if the spinoff for Win Team does not have Manal as the B-side couple, we're gonna fight. I'll have to fight someone because I love her and I need more.
Justice for Samantha Melanie Coates.
Yes, someone give her a lead role. She is gorgeous and she is funny, and I need more.
Mm-hmm. All right. This category is a tough one for me because I always feel a little bit prudish when I watch these things. It is Best Sex Scene. Mason, I will let you go first because I think we might have the same choice.
Maybe. I didn't have a specific scene, but I had a specific couple because they fucked around a lot. It's Tudor and Fighter from Why Are You? Listen, the second half of that series was just them fucking. And honestly, it was pretty good. Like, they really went for it. They were doing crotch grabs. They were really going for it. Sometimes it got weird. Like, the Adam's apple kiss was like a little weird. They kept doing that. But overall, honestly, kind of hot. Good for them. They went for it.
I had the same choice, Why Are You? Specifically because when I thought back to the shows that we watched this year, there were very few actual sex scenes. There were some making out scenes, but there were no scenes that like let you implicitly know that sex was on the menu immediately afterwards. The only other show that I could think of that had a lot of sex scenes was the show My Day. It was a Filipino boys love. However, given circumstances and things that have transpired since that show aired, I don't necessarily feel comfortable choosing it for this category, but it is, I guess, one to mention if you're looking for explicit implied sex scenes in a boys love.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So the next Next category is best costume. Sam, would you like to take it away?
Yes, and this one is where my list starts to get interesting. So there is a show that a lot of people wouldn't consider a boys' love, but I do because it has a very strong man on man subplot out of the many subplots in this show. It also has a good girl and girl subplot as well. But my choice was the show Friend Zone 2 Dangerous Area. So Friend Zone 2 is a show that Singto is currently on, where he is dating a doctor, Dr. Sam. He's also having a torrid relationship with his best friend, and his boyfriend's ex is trying to get into the picture and has slept with the best friend. Lots of shit going on in this show, and lots of like make out sessions and, you know, not shying away from the intimacy. But one of the things that keeps me coming back every single week are the clothes. Singto dresses okay. Dr. Sam dresses okay. Stud dresses great. Dr. Sam's ex dresses amazing. And the girls on this show literally look like an Instagram wet dream. Like, they are dressed so impeccably. And so I couldn't think of another show whose costuming really got me. But that show is a show that I look forward to every single outfit that's going to be shown because it's just phenomenal.
Ooh, I'll have to check it out. My best costume pick was I Told Sunset About You. I feel like costume design shouldn't always be about like who was the most fashionable, but do the clothes reflect the characters? And I feel like every single character in I Told Sunset About You had a very specific wardrobe that matched their personality and mood at a specific time. So this is, I don't know, just immediately I was like, I Told Sunset About You was the only one I feel like wasn't like an engineer uniform, like a generic like white t-shirt, black pants, tie, like college uniform for a boys' love. But it always had something interesting. You knew that the one kid that lived at, I'm forgetting their names, the one kid that lived at the resort was richer, he dressed a bit nicer, whereas Tay, you know, his hair was a bit more ruffled. He was wearing like kind of dumpier clothes at times, you know, which I appreciate. I like that it was normal clothes, but you got who the character was.
Mm-hmm. Great answer. All right, well, in keeping with that same kind of theme, best set design, and I think this one's a no-brainer, you guys. It's I Told Sunset About You. The sets, the use of red, the use of gold, beige, tan colors, the hibiscus in the dark. Set design is one of those things that we don't really think of because a lot of boys' love takes place at the cafeteria at the university, the classroom, maybe in the office, sometimes somebody's rando mansion. But this was something totally different. This was the utilization of beaches, underwater. It was the utilization of shadows and light and the way that the sun plays on people. And it was all well lit and well put together. And so for me, best set design absolutely had to go to I Told Sunset About You. There are a couple of scenes in particular that I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of when the study notebook was brought to the mansion and they're on different levels and it's almost Romeo and Juliet-esque. I'm thinking of the tutoring scenes where one would be on the ground while the other one is at an elevation and the light would filter.
That's cinematography, not set design though.
It's cinematography in terms of the way it's shot, but set design because the way that they place colors in the set made it to where the cinematography was more effective. So the scene I'm thinking about with the tutoring, there's a window over an area where one of them is sitting on the ground and there's no other windows in the ceiling, but there's apparently a window in the ceiling in this one particular spot. And the main character is sitting in that spot with the light from the window shining down on them. And I just think it's brilliant the way that they placed things, especially the color red. The way that red was kind of thrown into certain sets really made it stand out a lot. And so kudos to the person who designed these sets because I enjoyed watching the scenery as much as I enjoyed watching the action.
I think that's a really good answer. It was my first choice too, but ended up doing something a little bit different. And I picked Because of You 2020. I think there's a nice range of different sets there. I think like the dad's office with the jade colors and the greens was interesting. He's a very jealous man. So he has all these greens in his office. And then you have the poor kid, and he has this more cluttered home. It's very small, but it's got a lot of memorabilia there. And then each rich person, each of the brothers had like their own like nice apartment or house. And each one was stylized for that specific brother, which I liked as well. So I ended up going with Because of You 2020.
Yay! I think that's a great inspired choice.
Yeah, I think both answers are very good.
All right.
So up next, we have Best Girl.
I think you guys already know my answer. It's Pearl from Game Boys, Adriana So. I was torn with this one because I was thinking Manal from Until We Meet Again. But I think the thing that I like the most about Pearl, and it's something that we don't see a lot in Boys Love, is that she was kind of the bridge between both sides of the relationship. Mm-hmm. Normally, when you have Best Girl, she's the friend of one character in particular, but for some reason, they were able to definitely make that move from her just being the friend of one of the couple to being the friend of both sides of the couple. And by the time the series was over and they had their reunion, it was like, this is a real group friendship. This isn't, you're my friend, you're my friend's friend, or you're my boyfriend's friend. It's like, you're our friend. And I just found that to be really nice that Kai and Gabriel both have established separate friendships with her. And she also carried a lot of the action. She helped to move it along to resolution in a lot of ways. So I really, really enjoyed the function she played in that show, her character. And I don't know, I'd like to see more girls like her, maybe not as intrusive, but just definitely more girls who don't seem like they exist simply to be a part of a male character's world, but also is their own very defined person, which is why Pearl has her own show, Pearl Next Door.
Mm-hmm. This is making me rethink my answer. I did pick Manal for the same reasons as I picked her in the first answer. I just love her. I think she's so sweet. She's so funny. She was always very upbeat. Listen, there's a lot of crying on this show, but she was always supportive, and I appreciated her. I would love a friend.
Also, she killed the promotional game. Her and the Miss Cosmetics, she did the most.
Yeah, she knew exactly how to make it campy enough to where it's like, oh, this is a commercial, but also like, okay, she's just kind of a silly girl. I can see where this fits in universe. So kudos to them.
Yay.
Which leads us to our very next question, which is best and worst commercial tie-in.
Woo! Okay, so I'm going to start with worst because I think that everybody already knows what my answer is, whereas best, I think some people won't know because they don't know that I'm watching the show. So worst is obviously A Chance to Love, Love by Chance Season 2. The commercials in this fucking thing were just hammer over the head, separate segments of the entire show. They related to nothing. They didn't match with anything. They looked completely contractually obligated. And I never want to eat your fucking seaweed. Just get the fuck out of here. I'm not going to eat it. I'm not going to use the code to play games on my cell phone. I don't want it. Gross. Get the fuck out of here. So that was my winner for worst commercial tie-in.
Oh, sorry, continue on.
No, I'm going to wait till you give yours and then we'll talk about best.
For similar answers, for similar reasons, I picked Still Together because that entire show was just 5 episodes of one commercial, of multiple commercials strung together. It was very irritating. I did not like it.
Very hit you over the head. We are advertising this product.
Yeah, you're like, oh, so this is a commercial and like anything happening is just fodder to get us to the next commercial. Okay.
I feel you. Okay, so best commercial tie-in. I feel like I know what Mason's is, but I don't think Mason is gonna know what mine is. My best commercial tie-in is the series Ingredients. So Ingredients is a show that's actually hosted by a grocery store chain called Central Market. And every episode shows one of the characters creating a meal using ingredients from the Central Market supermarket. And I just love the fact that the main character is already outlined to be a culinary student. So of course, he has to have access to food in order to pursue his major and also to be able to make these recipes. But the Central Market being the sponsor of the show means that you don't have to be hit over the head with, I'm going to go to Central Market and get ingredients. Sometimes you'll see like a reusable grocery bag, or sometimes you'll see like the brand of a package of flour in the background, but it's never something where it takes you away from the storyline. And it's such a vital part of the storyline that it really meshes well with what they're doing. And that's why it was my favorite commercial tie-in of the year.
Yes, I haven't seen Ingredients, but Sam talks about it a lot, so gotta get on it. For best commercial tie-in, okay, you guys are gonna get sick of me picking the show, and I promise there's not a lot left of it, but it is Until We Meet Again. And the reason I picked it, I almost picked I Told Sunset About You, but they didn't have a lot of commercial tie-ins. The reason I picked Until We Meet Again is because every time there was a commercial tie-in, you knew it was a commercial tie-in, but you sure did have fun watching it. Like, they did a really good job making the commercial tie-ins entertaining and fun, and at least somewhat relevant to the story. Like, I felt like they did a good job making them somewhat relevant to the characters of the story at hand. So, Until We Meet Again. Plus, like, that show could get so serious, and those commercial tie-ins were sometimes like the only like bits of joy and like reprieve from the seriousness in an episode. So I appreciate them for that as well.
All right. I like that answer. I do. Okay, so next we have Best Friends. And Best Friends was a really hard category because we had a lot of really great friendship groups this year. Just thinking off the top of my head, Together, I Told Sunset About You. I have a list here of like all the shows I watched this year, and you could almost pick any one of these shows and you'd have a great friendship group. But I had to give it to Until We Meet Again. I knew that they were going to win when I thought back to the very last episode with all three of the friends eating shabu shabu, and how happy I was to see them have like one last get together before the show was over. And that to me made me feel like they deserved, because all throughout the show, we have a character dealing with really heavy stuff. Like dealing with the fact that, you know, he's a reincarnated person, dealing with the fact that, you know, he's got all this trauma from his past that he's got to reconcile himself with. And it seemed like his friend group was the safe space for him. They were the people that understood. They didn't make him feel like going through this past trauma was him being crazy or him having some type of defect. And it just seemed like they gave him that kind of recharge, especially with him being alone, essentially. His family was in America. And so it was just nice that they became this kind of small found family for him. So that's the reason why Team and Manow are my best friends this year.
Good answer. I ended up going with I Told Sunset About You. I think there was a lot of, like, Tay and O had a lot of drama between them that kind of went almost unspoken to the friends. Like, they were always like, oh, they're fighting again, or oh, they're friends again. And I think that they were always very respectful of their feelings and gave them space when they needed to have space, but were also like, oh, no one's heard from O in a while. This is really concerning. Should we do something? Did something happen with Tay? Like, let's solve this. And then when O posted that photo of him in the bra and then immediately deleted it, the friends did seem a little shocked, but it also never really became a point of issue. It more just seemed like, is he okay? Do we need to talk with him? Like, how's his mental health doing? And I appreciate that with them. They always gave them the space that they needed. They weren't too overbearing. They were all supportive of getting into their colleges. And I hope we see more of them in part 2.
Yay! I feel good because I feel like whatever my second choice was your first choice, and whatever your second choice was my first choice. So this has been going well so far. Watch it go bad. Okay. So we had the Fashionista Award, which is a little bit different to me than Best Costume. The reason why is because Best Costume can kind of set up a theme for a show. It can establish who the characters are. And definitely in Friend Zone, when I was talking about how much I like the fashion very much plays into who the characters are as people and why they're so fashionable.
Right.
But Fashionista Award is just a character or a series where just like, I like what you're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it doesn't necessarily say anything about who you are as a character. It's just like, you're sharp. And I had to give that award to my engineer. There is a particular scene, which Mason knows about, where everyone meets at the mall to eat ice cream. And I just love the clothes that Chandler is wearing. Chandler is the actor. He is the guy who is the moon from the business school, who was kind of trying to be the boyfriend of the main character, and then he got kind of washed away. And they go to eat ice cream, and there's just something about his clothes in that moment. I'm just like, I don't have any memories of you outside of this moment, but now I'll never forget you because you look edible.
I will remember you.
Just black and white slow-mo. I mean, he looked amazing, and the clothes never quit. After that moment, I could not stop looking at what he was wearing throughout the show.
That show actually did a really good job, like when they weren't in their school uniforms, of taking advantage of some really nice fashion moments. Like everyone was well dressed.
Yeah.
I picked Porpla from YYY because she always had some crazy fun outfits, crazy hair, a hat, fun makeup. I was just like, it was comedic, but honestly, some of them were like hits. So, and I would love to do Halloween with her. Like, if I was to get a gang of girls together and do Halloween, my first call is to Porpla, and she'll be like, oh, I have ideas. So
I love your choice. I think your choice is so good, especially because one of the things that a fashionista tends to do is they tend to kind of invite others into their sphere and kind of leak their fashion threads onto others. And the fact that Porpla orchestrated like the dress up party at the end of the show. Yeah, I love that choice.
Yeah. I hope we see more of her in season 2.
Well, I hope so too. All right. This is the I'll Eat You Up Award, named after Queen Boa. I'll eat you up. And this is an award for somebody who, to me, is like, gosh, in another world, in another body, I would love to be yours and you to be mine. And this was a tough one for me because really the choice that I made here was somebody who I feel like by making this choice, people would believe that I'm choosing it because of a personal affection for this actor. But I actually really liked this person's character in the show that they were in. And technically, this show is considered a BL. And it is Om Pawat in The Shipper.
Oh, man. I should have seen it coming, but I didn't.
So, I mean, it's no secret around these parts, Om Pawat is my fave. But he looked really good in The Shipper. He plays a hairdresser on the side in The Shipper. And so because of that, his hair is always beautiful and full and great. But he wears like one of those fanny pack purses across his chest in a lot of the scenes. And when he's not in his uniform, he's usually in some like very well-cut, well-fitted pants and very close-cut shirts that just make him look amazing. If you couple that with his natural charm and face, it's just a combination you can't beat. So I chose Om Pawat, and you know why. I love you, baby.
That's a good pick. I picked someone, I think Sam thinks she knows who I picked, but she does not know who I picked, because the person that I almost would have picked is someone that is around my age and speaks English, and we have similar interests. But honestly, it's still possible. I ain't given up hope. The other person I have no hope with. So the person I have no hope with, but I would totally want to fuck, is Boone, who plays Win on Until We Meet Again, because he looks like my bias in B2B Ilhoon, and I love him, and I think Boone is super attractive. I love the long blonde hair. I just think he has such a charismatic personality, and I, at most times, am not a charismatic person, and I feel like he would be like, hey, he'd be the extrovert that would kind of bring me out of my shell, and I bet he'd be a good lay, so I picked him.
I think that's a brilliant choice. And it came down to the wire for me with choosing Ohm, because I almost chose Bright. But I think what stopped me from choosing Bright was the fact that even though Bright's charisma throughout Together was scorching, he looked sick to me a lot of the time.
He did look, the makeup was a little sickly in season 1. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for
season 1, yeah.
Yes. Season 1.
Coronavirus.
Season 1 was rough.
Yeah.
But season 2, that boy looked nice.
I don't know we gotta talk about the makeup in, first of all, we don't have a makeup award, and we really should have, because honestly, some of the makeup in these sequels is great. Like even Tharn Type season 2 and Still Together have amazing makeup. The actors look so much better in the sequels. It's crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Mew looks 3 years younger than he did in season 1 of Tharn Type. I don't know how they did it.
Yeah, he went from his 30s to his 20s.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
I remember when we first saw him, like, hello, fellow college students. Like, get out of here, old man.
Yeah. It's like when you watch Glee and you're like, none of these kids are in high school. Yeah. They have been long out of high school.
Yes. Yeah. Makeup, definitely. If we had a makeup category, I would probably give it to Still Together, just because the transformation of Bright's face from one season to another is indescribably good. Like he looks healthier, he looks happier, he looks like the kind of guy that you would fall in love with, whereas Sarawat in season 1 looked like he might have some nutrition issues.
Yeah.
They kept him very shallow looking.
You need a banana, a burger, anything? Should you eat something, Sarawat? Ooh, I think if we had a makeup award, well, I guess we have one now because we're giving answers. So I'm going to go with Tharn Type season 2, just because not only that, I think an underrated hottie of Tharn Type season 2 is Techno.
I was mad at you when you said it.
Like, I thought he was really cute the first season, but something about season 2, I'm like, ooh, I'd fuck the shit out of you. Yeah. He's hot. He looks good.
Techno got good looking. Techno went from goofy to like goofy, but will fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. I dig it. All right, let's keep going. All right, so after that, it's best theme song. And I have to say, theme song and OST are 2 categories, because sometimes you can really like a theme song, but like the background music just isn't to your suiting. And in other shows, the background music makes the show. And when it came to theme song, there was one theme song that every time I heard it, I let it play. Every single intro to the show. I usually watch shows on like 2 times speed or 1.5 times speed. I always slowed it down so I can enjoy na 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 na. My engineer. It is just so relaxing, and the singing is atrocious, but it is just such a vibe. And it came at the exact right time too, because I think My Engineer started right when we were kind of in the height of coronavirus madness. And it was such a relaxing theme song to me that it really helped with my anxiety a lot of the time.
That's a really good answer. That's a good reason. I feel like having an emotional connection to a song, it like is always nice. Yeah, I like that answer. I didn't have a strong front runner. I just picked Together because I guess it's the one I liked the most. Had this been done last year, Tharn Type would have won clean, easy. But...
Oh no, if this had been done last year, Dark Blue Kiss would have won for me.
Oh, Hate that song.
I love that song. Forever telenovelas.
All right. So best OST, there was one show. There were a couple really good OSTs this year, but there was one show that I was like, the only thing that I really remember of this show is the leads were hot and the OST banged, and that was Where Your Eyes Linger.
Wow, that's a really great answer. When we watched Where Your Eyes Linger, I know that I personally looked up the songs on the OST to figure out like who was singing them. And I was so surprised to find out how many of the lead actors were involved in singing the OST songs. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a brilliant answer.
Well, the one guy was on Produce, so he's tried to sing at some point in his life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I went in a different route. I went with the OST that I felt kind of contributed the most to the storyline of the show, and that was Gaia Sa Película. We didn't talk about it in our review, and it was something that afterwards we were like, God damn it, why didn't we say something? Yeah. But the songs in Gaia Sa Película said so much when the characters were saying nothing. Mm-hmm. And just really set the mood for a lot of the events in the last 3 episodes. So I had to give this award to it because I can't imagine that show without those songs.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Yeah, totally agree.
Okay. All right. Going on from there, most appetizing food. I feel like we might have the same answer, but I'm gonna let you go first, Mason.
I feel like there was only one show that I watched that like had consistent food. And that was Until We Meet Again. I don't know what the fuck Newcomer is, but I sure as hell would like to try it.
Yes, and that was my answer as well. I could have gone with ingredients with this because goodness knows the material was there, but I went with Until We Meet Again because one of the things that made the food so appetizing was people's reaction as they were eating the food. Mm-hmm. Like, every time somebody put a dumpling in their mouth or tasted the congee or had the omelet, their faces would light up. And to me, that is the indicator of a really good meal.
I feel like something like that in A Boy's Love makes me love the show a little bit more just because it has another texture to the show that's not always there. It's just like, oh, here's the food of our culture. And it's like, they know that they have a big international audience with these Boys Loves. And honestly, stuff like that makes me want to travel to Thailand to be like, I gotta try all these desserts. I can't get them here. I mean, I'm in LA. I might be able to get some of them here, but it still makes me be like, oh, I gotta go to Thailand. And like, I think stuff like food and great like landscapes can really make you want to travel there. Like, I Told Sunset About You, I'm like, I have to go to Thailand now. Stand on the rocks and stare at the waves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Our next category, the deserved better category. Now, let me tell you, deserved better doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't get something good. It just means they should have gotten more. Mm-hmm. And this is a place where, again, my list of Boys Loves I watched this year, there are so many people that I could say deserved more. In fact, an honorary mention is the entire rest of the cast for Why Are You?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. But I wanted to keep it specific this time because there's a couple of broader categories I'm going to use later. But for me, deserved better was Phu Cao from the show Oxygen. So Oxygen is a show that Mason's not watching, but it's a show that I watched to completion this year. And it's super low key to the point that it's almost snoozy. But there is a second couple in that show called Phu Cao. And the actor who plays Phu is just, both of the actors, they've just got something very, very special to the point that I would rather just see a show with just them, in my opinion. And they ended their run on that show with no kiss, barely a hug, and the promise that one of the characters will come back from the foreign country he left for at the end of the series. And I just feel like they deserved more. They deserved better. They seemed like better people, and good people deserve good things. So they were my choice for deserved better.
It's a good pick. Sam and I actually talked about this one in the DM because both of us had trouble with this, and I picked the answer I told you I was gonna pick, and I picked Bass from It's A. Listen to K-pop, get the reference. I told something about you. I picked Bass because, listen, I have some very specific needs in part 2 of I Told Sunset About You. And one of them is that my boy Bass is happy and has some nice arm candy that treats him well and loves him. Because this man was so nice and is honestly a much bigger person and more mature than I am, especially when I was that age. Listen, if I was, 18, 17, and Mr. O was dating me, but secretly really liked someone else, I would not have driven him to the boy that he loved house and said, oh, go talk to him, go be with him. No, I would have dropped his ass off on the side of the road and driven away and said, you can walk, bitch. So he was very nice. I think he was always very respectable of, like, he never pressured Owen to doing anything he didn't want to do. He was always nice. He drove him home. He studied hard. He worked hard. He was a nice boy. And I part 2, treat him right or we're going to have a fight.
Absolutely. Either treat him right or don't show him at all.
Yeah, but please show him.
All right. So the next category is Best Supporting Character. And this was one where it absolutely could have gone one or two ways. It could be that the actor really did their job in the role, or that the character really made waves in the series that propelled the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, I broke the rules a little bit. I didn't choose one person. I chose 2 people, but their characters are so important to this show that there's no way I could have broken them up in order to be able to fulfill this answer. And my answer was Ainai from Tonon Chonlati. So Tonon Chonlati is a show that's currently airing, so everybody can watch it right now. It's on GMMTV. It has had some really problematic material in it, but the only bright spot in this show have been Ainai, and they are boyfriends, and they do all of their plotting together. They're always in their scenes together. They have like eye contact moments, which are, words unsaid, but mutual understanding. And because of that, I could not pick Mike or Top Tap. It had to be Ainai. So that was my choice for Best Supporting Character.
It's a good answer. I've yet to watch that show, but I think we're going to review it. So I'm going to get started on it. Okay. I also have a tie, but from 2 different shows. And I just couldn't pick between the 2. And I think both are great characters that I want to see more of. So my first pick is Ram from My Engineer. I always thought he didn't have a lot of lines, but he was always the greatest friend of anyone. Like, he was always there for Duin. He was always there for King. He helped everyone out consistently. And I really appreciate that. So I really love him. And y'all know that Ram King, like, if we had a Best Couple Award, it might go to them. So, oh, did we? We might have a Best Couple Award.
We have a Best Second Couple. Thank you for giving us the preview of your answer.
I don't know if I put them for Best Second Couple. I did not.
Okay, well, there you go. You just got a preview of my answer.
Okay. But my other Best Supporting Character, it's Green. It's my girl, Green. I want to be best friends with Green. We're going to hang out. And I want Green. Green is hot as shit. And Green deserves a better man than P-Dim. Because P-Dim is kind of a box of rocks. Like, he's just boring. And he is a floater. He has no goal in life, which I guess is fine. But, like, I don't know. He's like 23 and is like, I guess I'll hang around my old college club. And it's like, get a life, P-Dim. But no, Green is great. Sorry, I'm like shitting on Dim, but I love Green. I think he's great.
Listen, Mason knows that Green was on my short list of deserved better, because I too felt like of all the men in the world for you to have as your pick, why did you hitch your boat to that sinking ship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fuck out of here, that guy. Okay.
I'm laughing because I fought tooth and nail to get this category completely removed from this episode.
Yes, this was one I was willing to do all on my own because I felt very strongly about this. Yeah. But Mason was kind enough to indulge to let me have an answer. And then at the last, I'm like, oh, I have an answer too. So now it is a joint effort. And I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, Mason.
So I'll let you go first because this is your category.
Okay, so this category is missed opportunities, meaning that in the show, there are two characters that if the writers had been smart enough, they would have made them into a relationship, but the writers are dumb, so they fucked it up. And my choice was Pure and Juan, played by Fiat and JJ in this show, My Gear and Your Gown. Let's just be really clear. My Gear and Your Gown is one of the worst shows to come out of GMMTV this year. It is a poorly acted show. Character motivations feel like they make no fucking sense. The action it's dumb. It's your same old engineering students, high school students tropes. Like there's just really nothing that stands out about this series. However, Fiat and JJ are incredible actors. I look forward to seeing them do more things. And there were some moments in the early episodes of this show where you were like, if these two are a couple, it will redeem this entire show. And they had a moment in a doctor's office where they go, us together? Ugh, gross. And in that very moment, I'm like, I'm going to hate finishing this fucking show because you just ruined it for me. So this was a missed opportunity, writers. These two would have been great together. You didn't have to get super explicit and make them make out all the time. You could have just let them have a really fun relationship dealing with their various insecurities. But instead, you pushed a totally different love interest for Fiat, and that storyline was dumb and stupid. And so, fuck out of here. My Gear, Your Gown, you suck ass.
Okay.
I needed that moment, Mason. Thank you for giving it
to me. It's like all your Twitter thoughts that you've posted about it, you can finally say.
It is what it is.
The void. Okay, my missed opportunity character or couple is Champ Blue. So in Why Are You, Blue was a side character who actually had like kind of a love triangle going on, but it was very low key and everyone wanted more of him. But Do Blue was the main ship. And I was kind of with them from the beginning with that. However, a deleted scene came out that made me hate Do Blue because Blue was in the shower or whatever, and he was showering, and Do comes in and like basically sexually assaults him and makes fun of him for being gay. You saw that scene, right, Sam? I sent it to you.
I think you sent it to me, but I had wiped it out of my memory because I don't like to hold on to trauma. And thank you for reminding me. Appreciate you.
I should put a trigger warning.
That's okay, because I sent you something a couple of days ago that more than makes up for it.
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah, I did not deserve that video, by the way. Sam sent me something real fucked up in the DMs a few days ago, which I too had blocked from my memory. Anyways, so I stopped liking Do after that. But at the beginning of the series, Blue joins the soccer team in hopes of dating Champ, because that's who he initially liked. And Champ was like, first of all, a very good looking man. He was very protective of him. He liked him a lot. I thought he was very nice. And honestly, I just could see them being sweet and happy lovies together. So yes, Champ and Blue, I think we deserve the unproblematic version of Blue's couple.
I agree. All right, next. Craziest moment. So boys love there's so many times where the plot just goes into an area that makes no fucking sense. And it's like, why are we doing this? What the fuck is going on? Why is this where things are going? Prime example, the entirety of the filmography of Mame. But the craziest moment I had to give to why. And I at first thought it was going to be one moment that was very just zany and surreal and didn't make any sense. But that's kind of the hallmark of why is that it has all these zany and surreal moments. But out of nowhere, we find out that Talei's character is an alien. And to me, that was the craziest moment because it's like, what? When was what? And so, yeah, craziest moment to me was when YYY revealed that Talei's character was an alien because it came out of complete left field. There were no context clues at all.
None. That show was insane. Insane. Yeah. You could have picked anything. You could have picked the laundry scene, the fire in the apartment scene. Oh, that scene. That show. Good answer. But I knew you were going to pick YYY, so I tried to think of something different. And I picked Mr. Hart because the entire fucking idea of walking into someone else's room because they coincidentally have the same exact passcode as you because they have been in love with you for years is crazy. Like that, like the conceit of that show is crazy to me. It was bonkers. But yeah.
There were a lot of moments that for plot purposes, you're like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it absolutely starts with, we have the same passcode and I just happen to be in the vicinity of your room to enter this passcode.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I crawl into bed and I don't notice there's already a body in the room.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, crazy. All right. So the next category is Best Villain. And I picked, I think this is an interesting answer. My pick for Best Villain was Unspoken Words. The cripple of every boy's love is the unspoken words between characters and some dumb misunderstanding.
I think that's beautiful because it makes my answer sound like I wasn't blowing smoke up people's asses. Because my answer was COVID.
Oh.
So COVID not only kind of just threw off the entire boys love industry in Thailand. Shows that should have been released last year, A Tale of a Thousand Stars, didn't get released. Shows filmed in really weird ways to make up for a quarantine and everything else. But also in a very solid way, COVID is the villain in Game Boys in every sense of the word. COVID kills Kai's dad. COVID is what's keeping people apart. COVID is a life ruiner, and it was a life ruiner in Game Boys. It was a industry halt in terms of just filming shows, and for a lot of people, they've never quite gotten over it. There's still shows now that are being affected by COVID and the filming restrictions. There's still a lot of issues of COVID being brought up as plot points for shows in the Philippines. And COVID currently is starting to re-affect idols. So in Korea, we've had several idols come down with COVID. And so for me, the biggest villain of the year was COVID.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. Good answer.
It would have been dads if it wasn't COVID, though, because there were a lot of really shitty dads this year as well.
Oh, yeah, like the dad in Why Are You?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The dads in Until We Meet Again. Yeah. Fucking dads. Okay, next. This category is such a hard category to me because, like, I don't know, when these moments happen, it just makes me so fucking soft inside, and it is Best Siblings.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing we like more than a supportive family. And because we love a supportive family, we love to see it when they get to cry together, laugh together, and love together. And for me, there was one person whose love really stood out to me the most and who, like, I wanted to cry when they cried, and it was the older sister from Until We Meet Again. She was a teenager when her brother was born. She practically raised him along with her parents. She was the last person in her family to have a happy memory with him. And she lived her entire life carrying the burden of, if I could have just made him stay home, maybe this wouldn't have happened on his birthday. And then as an older woman, to have her brother come back from the dead and to be able to say every single thing you always wanted to say and have him in your life, but occupy a different role in your life. It's like having your family return to you. Her mother's dead, her father's dead. It seemed like either she was a widower or a divorcee. She was living alone. And now she's got the one person in her life whose death was the most heart-wrenching and tragic for her brought back to her. And I just thought she was the best. So that was my choice.
So I will officially change my answer to Sam's. Because I'm convinced, but I will just give my answer for shits and giggles at this point. I also picked someone from Until We Meet Again, but I picked Del and Dawn. Just because I thought that they were nice and supportive and always there for Dean, even though he was kind of quiet and like was a little awkward around them. And all they wanted was just to spend time with him. That was it. That's all I wanted.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer too. And I almost went with the brother and sister, but then I'm like, no, old sis got it. But we had some really great siblings this year. Like the brother from I Told Sunset About You, the sister from Life, Love on the Line. We had really great siblings this year. And so this was a hard category to choose from. Yeah. All right. Next.
Favorite Hets.
Yeah. I'm gonna let you go first because this was a hard category.
I chose to abstain this year. Because the only heterosexual couple I can even remember is Manal and her boyfriend, but they had no screen time, so I can't in good conscience give it to them. So maybe you'll convince me again with your answer.
Well, I don't know that I'll convince you necessarily because this was not a couple that you saw.
Oh.
This is from the Philippines, the show Hello Stranger, and the couple is Kukai and Seth. And they were the B couple in this show. They didn't have a ton of screen time. Their storyline didn't take away from the main characters, but they were a part of a 3-person friend group for one of the mains in this show. And Kukai was in love with one of the mains. And he basically told her, I'm not interested because I'm not sure I like girls. And Seth, who had been in love with her this whole time, was kind of like, yeah, maybe it's time for you to move on with someone who's close to you and who has a crush on you and might be really nice to you. And the thing I really enjoyed about them is that they had their own love story that was independent of the mains, but also Seth, who saw Kukai get her heart broken by one of the mains, didn't resent the main for that and remained friends. And so he didn't let hard feelings about someone he cared about being hurt make him want to seek revenge or be hurtful in response. And so it was nice to see that as one love story was kind of going through its ebb and flow, their love story got stronger and they were still able to remain friends with the main character. So that was my choice for favorite Hets.
Good pick.
Oh, thank you. Next, best second couple. I already gave the game away. Ram King. I don't feel like there's another second couple that I could have chosen this year. And there were so many good couples, but Ram King. When they finally had their kiss in the tent, it was like, give me more in my veins. I need it. I cannot wait for a season 2. I want the season 2 to be mostly about them. They were so good. And it was such a delicate, slow burn. And people kind of don't understand what slow burn means, I feel like. I think a lot of people feel like slow burn means like we don't even know each other until the last 10 minutes of the story and then all of a sudden we're in love. No. Slow burn really is that going from strangers to being acquaintances, to being friends, to being really close friends, to being lovers. And that is exactly what they did in My Engineer. And that is the reason why they are my favorite second couple. And for many people, they are their favorite first couple.
Mm-hmm.
So, ranking!
Ranking is a spot on answer. I did not pick them though. I ended up going with Win Team because I feel like we need to discuss them as well.
Yes.
And it's their own show. So hopefully in 2021, they can be best couple.
The space between, I want to put this out here now. Director New, you've been really fucking up this year. You did a lot of really shitty shit. You really fucked up Love by Chance season 2. You really fucked up My Gear in Your Gown. End of Love, what the fuck was that?
He's directing the hemp rope? All right, never mind. Win Team, I'm gonna put you on this year for sure because next year y'all might be down the drain. I'm
all right.
Very sad.
We all are. Okay, best sequel. There were several sequels this year. YYY had a special. Theory of Love had a sequel special. Still Together had a sequel special. There were a lot. I mean, even Game Boys kind of had like a mini sequel in their 13.5 episode. And Pearl Next Door is a sequel to Game Boys. So there were a lot of sequels this year. But this answer was one that me and Mason, I think, both agree upon because we realized in hindsight, this was possibly the best you could do.
Unfortunately.
So the winner for best sequel is Still Together.
Man, we did not give it a good review when we talked about it, but it just so happened that every other sequel that came after it just was worse and worse and worse.
Tharn Type is airing right now. The Cyphazon story from Why Are You is airing right now. Yet and Still Together was the better sequel. And I think what made it the better sequel is that at the end of the day, it was the most enjoyable to watch compared to everyone else. Tharn Type is getting exhausting at this point.
Right. It's been lot of nothing.
A whole lot of nothing. And don't get me wrong, Mew looks amazing and edible. Golf looks like golf. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I hate his hair. They gave him that weird bouffant and I don't like it. I wish they had done something different with his hair. But he's still good looking. I just hate his hair. But yeah, Still Together actually had like some fun moments. It had nice color palettes. There were just good times. And hindsight being 2020, I think we dismissed a lot of those good times because we were looking for something a little bit more, but we're never going to get a full season of Together again. That's just not going to happen. We're not going to get a Sodas 2 out of Together. And so for what we did get, I think we got the best possible outcome, given that this was a total money-making thing, that it was all about making space for commercials, but we still got the entire cast as well. And that's another thing that sequels this year have been lacking, is giving us entire cast returns.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, the entire cast is there. It was fun. It was pretty. People asked for a kiss. They got the fucking kiss. Still Together.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Still Together. Yeah. It's the only answer.
By fucking default.
Okay.
All right.
Next one is Best Kiss. This will be interesting. So my pick for Best Kiss was Bone and Doon's first kiss. I just think they're a sweet couple. I thought it was sweet. It was the only one that I was like, oh, this was nice. And it wasn't like two complete heteros, like, boop, okay, we're done, you know? Mm-hmm. So I thought it was nice.
Yeah.
And it was well done. It like, built up to their first kiss over episodes. I like that.
Now, I didn't go first kissed. I just went best kiss. And there was some real competition for me. I almost chose Until We Meet Again, the confession on the beach between the couple before they reincarnated, and that whole kind of sweep you up into the air kiss, because that was just such a fulfilling moment. But best kiss for me was a kiss that felt like freedom, and it was the kiss from Gaia Saw Pellicula. When Vlad left with his sister, and he was gonna head home to his mom, and his sister's like, "No, let's turn the ship around because you still have some unresolved issues with Carl." And Carl's in the living room playing music and dancing, and I guess he's at some point trying to like find a peace or some type of happiness out of the wreck that has become his personal relationships. And Vlad comes into the room and dances with him, and then Carl looks like he's gonna walk away, but instead he turns around and runs to Vlad and holds his face and kisses him. And it was just, I don't know, the music, the scenario, everything in that moment, I just felt like Vlad deserved this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was cool for Carl that Carl initiated this kiss and that he had the buy-in, but I just felt like Vlad deserved this.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a very warm moment for me.
It's a really good answer. I like that answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, these are the big categories, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's start with, actually, you know what? Can we put Thailand last?
Sure.
Okay, so let's start with Best Show Korea. To be honest, there weren't many choices for us to choose from for Best BL Korea. Mm-hmm. And I think we both can agree Mr. Heart won out over Where Your Eyes Linger.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Where Your Eyes Linger absolutely had the better OST, but Mr. Heart, not to be punny, had more heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a nicer ending. And the characters a bit more.
Yes, and it made me wish I was not lactose intolerant because I really wanted some milk watching that show.
Get some lactate.
Yeah, no, it's bad. Like, my stomach doesn't cramp, but nobody wants to be in a room with me when I'm drinking milk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, next, Best Show Japan. This was so hard for me, guys. You have no freaking clue. This was hard because the two contenders for me were both shows that, had they been in other countries, could easily have won categories in those other countries.
Mm-hmm.
For me, Best BL from Japan is Cherry Magic. Or How 30 Years of Version Has Turned Me into a Wizard.
I haven't seen Cherry Magic, so I only had pretty much one option, and that was Life, Love on the Line. But that's good. So both of them can win in this episode because both are really good.
Listen, Life, Love on the Line, the moment that he confronts his parents about the fact that I can't continue to live the life that you want me to have. Mm-hmm. I've got to make myself happy. And the dad's like, go on. That in and of itself was just one of my favorite moments of the year.
Yeah.
But the fact that he left his lover after so many years together.
That was hard. That was hard for sure.
Yeah. And so far, Cherry Magic hasn't done something as stupid as that. And so that's why it kind of crawled to the forefront. Also, once Mason starts watching, he'll agree, I believe, that it's just a feel-good show. It's just cute. It's cute. It is cute like manga and manhwa are supposed to be cute. It's cute. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, especially in a year like 2020, you just need something cute. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Next, Best Show Taiwan. I'm really mad at this category. I'm really mad at this category because I knew what the answer was, and then I found out something's going to happen in a few days, which makes me wish we were not having this award show this weekend.
Wow.
So there is a movie that has been a box office smash in Taiwan called Your Name Engraved Herein. It is coming to US Netflix in a matter of days. And it looks and sounds like it is on par with I Told Sunset About You or Do the Movie in terms of like scenery and history and everything else. And we have not had access to it as a Western audience at all. We have not had access to it in terms of it being on Netflix, for us to get it on Vimeo, on demand, or anything like that. So I never felt fair reviewing it. But if you watch the trailer for Your Name Engraved Herein, it feels magical. And considering what the box office receipts have been, apparently audiences feel the same way. So had we been doing this award show possibly the next week, I have no doubt that I would have chosen Your Name Engraved Herein as my winner. But since that was not on the table, my winner is Because of You.
I am with you. Because of You 2020. It's one of the few shows where it was 6 episodes? It was almost a movie length. Like, it was very short. But man, I really wish it had either and I Told Sunset About You, 5 1 hour or an hour and a half, just solid chunks of episodes, or a 10 episode history treatment, because it's so good.
It is wonderful. And it's one of the few shows where you have all the brothers falling in love, and it doesn't feel like, well, this is improbable. Yeah, because you're two of them have history with one another, long-term histories. So it's not like they just all of a sudden turned gay. It was kind of already written in stars for them. But yeah, they packed so much plot into such a short amount of time.
Right.
The whole story of the dad and his first love, and her leaving and getting pregnant by another man, and then dying of cancer, and then her son having to make this mysterious phone call, but also running into this guy, and all the things that happened in such a short burst of time, but without it feeling like an exposition free-for-all. That's serious filmmaking craft right there.
Yeah. And the acting was good. The leads were attractive. I really liked all of the dynamics between the brothers and their partners. All of it was good. It looked good. You want more. And I think they're doing more, right? At least they're hinting at that they're maybe doing more.
I've heard that there will be a sequel, which if they had a sequel, I would hope that it has to do with the aftermath of the father's death and maybe some corporate shenanigans. But yeah, the dad is the only person that I was fuck that guy. But everybody else I really enjoyed in that show. So if they're doing a sequel, I will watch. Absolutely.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. Me too. All right. Next, Best Show Philippines. This is a no-brainer, you guys. It's Game Boys.
I almost didn't pick it, but I feel like there was no denying that Game Boys was the best show from the Philippines. So I also picked Game Boys. But Guys Sa Pelikula was in contention for a minute.
And I agree, absolutely. Gaya Sa Pelikula, if Game Boys hadn't come out when it did and kind of informed the market, I really think that Gaya Sa Pelikula would have been that girl. But what Game Boys did in a time when it seemed like everybody else was on hold is noteworthy in and of itself. It's not a format that a lot of people will like. Definitely the constraints of the timing of this show absolutely show themselves, but in a lot of ways, because COVID played such a huge part in the show as a character itself, the show's format took advantage of all the restrictions we are feeling as a community in these times. I mean, how many of us are conducting business over Zoom? How many of us haven't been able to meet with loved ones in person for months? How many of us want to hold somebody that we know we just actually physically cannot? And the excitement and the exhilaration of finally being able to be physical, and not with even a romantic partner, just your family, you know? And so Game Boys for me, number one, it was like a huge introduction for the world to get into Filipino boys love. So for that reason alone, it cannot be understated. I do not count Sacristan because that show was trash. But it introduced a lot of people to the Filipino boys love market. But again, like I said, it took a time when it seemed like nobody could do anything because COVID had so hobbled us, and it made a story out of the monster in the closet. And it made an approachable, loving human story out of the monster in the closet. And for that reason, I don't think it can be understated how important Game Boys is.
I think Sam explained it really well. So we should leave it at that.
Okay. All right. And this one, again, I don't think that there's any contest. Best show, Thailand. I Told Sunset About You. There are not enough superlatives to describe what a wonderful and nuanced viewing experience it is to watch I Told Sunset About You. The combination of elements, of budget, of actors, of screenwriting, the small details, the bigger details, the connection you have with everybody on a really human level, and the way it kind of took you out of this place and this time. The first time I saw the trailers, I thought this was a show that was filmed, that was like supposed to be set in the 90s or the late 80s. To find that it was a modern show, but seemed so far removed from modernity, except for the use of social media, it was the fantasy. It was the fantasy that I have always looked for in boys love. I couldn't change a thing. I could not change a single thing about this show. Mason, I will let you now give your superlatives.
I don't have any. I think I Told Sunset About You is one of my favorite shows that I think I've ever seen. Not just in boys love. Like, that show really got to me. I loved everything about it. And I hope part 2 is good. I hope part 2 ends happy, because I think if it doesn't, I will be a wreck emotionally. Like, please. They're switching directors and I am horrified. So yes, please, part 2 be good.
And one of the things that I think when we're telling others about I Told Sunset About You, it on its surface, it looks very highbrow. Like, from the way that it's filmed to kind of the way that it says a lot in moments without saying anything, looks between characters, touches between characters. It seems like it wouldn't be something that's made for the masses. But I think that's kind of the reason why this show is so special, and why certain shows have been so special, because they do require you to think a little bit more, feel a little bit more rather than being told, and shows that are telling a very specific story, but yet it is the universal story of people falling in love and being insecure if the person who they love loves them back, and overcoming what other people have to say about your love in order to pursue your actual happiness. And that's a story, no matter who you are, where you come from, you should be able to relate to. And
Right.
so I hold this up as the vanguard of Thai BL, because there's never been a show like it. I don't think that there'll be another show like it for quite a while. And I feel like it makes everything else seem mediocre in its shadow.
Yeah. And I think what really enhances that it's such a good show is because it's not a good show for a boys love. It's just a fucking good show. Like, it just happens to be about a gay relationship, but it's just a fucking good show. And you could tell that there's some really specific elements to it that, like, the writer or someone who worked on it experienced, or knows someone that experienced. those feelings and those emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't say about you for sure.
Yeah. All right.
2 left, 2 more. So up next is Best Actor. Who is the best actor this year?
To keep it going for me, Best Actor absolutely was PP Crit from I Told Sunset About You for me. I gushed about his performance effusively when we did our review of I Told Sunset About You, but moving away from the immediate finish of that show, I'm still left with the very strong impression of his vulnerability, his tenderness, his quiet strength, and just wanting to love on that character. I mean, he was so vulnerable, but yet so strong in his self and so insecure about this love that he just couldn't keep away from, but also not willing to be treated as a second-class citizen to that love and let himself be taken advantage of. And the scene for me that really did me in was the scene with the bra, because to me, that scene was not about wanting to be a girl or, you know, any kind of comment about like what it means to be gay. That scene was like, I just want to be someone that you want. Is this what you want? If the world saw me as that person, would you want me more? Because obviously the reason you don't want to be with me is because you can't be with me in front of the world. So if this is what you need and I became that, would you love me? Mm-hmm. And it's completely said without being said. And when he puts it on Instagram and then takes it off and then crumbles to the ball on the ground, we don't know if he's crying because he's afraid he embarrassed himself. We don't know if he's crying because he knows that's never going to be him. We don't know if he's crying because he truly realizes that maybe this is lost. But no matter what the reason is that he's crying, it rings completely honest, no matter what context you put on it. And I just was blown away.
Mm-hmm. That's a very good answer. I'm on the flip side of that coin. I picked Bilkin, who played Tay.
I knew you would!
Instead of you. Because I gushed about his performance in our review. I think that he felt like he was always thinking. And I felt like he was always thinking in character. It wasn't, what line am I going to say next? It was just, he was always thinking something. And I appreciate that. I think even though the crying got a little too much at times, I feel like part of that was a directorial choice that could have been. I also think there have been times where, if we really think about it, that character really had a lot on his plate at that time. I mean, it was probably one of the hardest things that character in his life had to go through at that point. You know, being gay, you know, giving up his dream school. Like, there was just his mom yelling at him. It's like every crazy thing in his life really came together in one moment. And he was just so unconsolably crying that I was like, you know what, I've been there. I get it. And crying is not always pretty. It looks crazy. And I appreciate that. He really went for it. I feel like he always knew what he was thinking, and that like he wanted, like, I feel like we were really growing with the character in the sense that as the character was like, I don't know why, but I need to be around O more. He didn't know what it was at first, but he was like, I just need to be by this person. And then very slowly you could see him falling in love with him through not words, just his actions, just the expressions, a quick glance, a hug that maybe lingered too long. So both the actors, I mean, this really could have just been a tie. So yeah, both are great.
Yeah, I think one of the things I liked the most about Billiken's performance was when he lost everything. He lost the school of his choice. It seemed like he lost the man that he loved. He lost almost a friendship with somebody that he was in romantic love with previously. Mm-hmm. He lost everything, and he came out of that loss, losing, you know, maybe the respect he had from his mom, losing his image of himself. And he came out of it with like, I now have complete freedom because there's nothing left here to lose.
Right.
And that played across his face in that very last moment when he's like, well, if you want me to stay in your life, how about it be as your boyfriend?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't come across sleazy or corny like it would in other boys' loves.
Mm-hmm.
It just really came across like, I give up. I'm not trying to fight this feeling anymore.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love that. They were so good. Twin stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So up next is the very last award, the biggest award, our personal favorite boys' love of 2020. Sam, would you like to do the honors and give your answer?
So after talking with Namjoon, we decided that we are giving our award to My Engineer. Would you like me to explain to them why we chose that? Okay, I'll do so. Thanks, honey. So My Engineer was the perfect boys' love for me at its timing. And one thing that My Engineer did for me, and I don't know if you guys are even aware of it, it created this show in a lot of ways. My Engineer was a part of a bigger conversation that Mason and I had been having about boys' love. We had been talking to people about boys' love. We had been talking to friends about boys' love. We've been talking to each other about boys' love. But My Engineer was the first time we were like, we wish we could get the word out.
Yeah.
We could get more people to see this. We wish we could get, and
rough. Like they weren't uploading it right. It got really low views for a really long time. Like it was a slow burn to get somewhat popular.
Absolutely. And, for a while there, it just seemed like it was just the two of us. But at the same time, I appreciated having someone in my life to share this love of this show. Mm-hmm. I loved kind of being some of the few people that were in on the secret, Mm-hmm. And as we developed this show here, Busy Thinking About Boys Love, My Engineer came up consistently in conversations of like, and this is the one y'all need to be watching. Hey guys, this is the one you need to be watching. And I loved getting back with Mason every week and being like, did you see this week's episode? Did you see what happened? Did you see? I fell for it. And another thing that really meant a lot to me about My Engineer is My Engineer's director is the same director who did the first season of Sodas. And Sodas to me is a show that a lot of people are on the fence about. A lot of people are still on the fence about My Engineer, but some people love that show and some people can't stand Sodas. It's too slow moving. They don't like Chris, all the things. But there is a certain kind of charm and kind of innocence and naivete that is found in Sodas that you find in My Engineer that just kind of feels like the way that first love feels before everyone has their opinions and before you start having your first fights and before you start thinking about maybe I'd be happier with somebody else and all the things that kind of being a grown-up force upon you as you gain life experience. And it was nice to be reminded of that feeling of what it's like when the whole world was just about, do I or don't I take this chance on this other human being? And I loved that. I loved how uncomplicated the relationships seemed to be. I loved how sweet everybody seemed to be. I loved in even the most high stakes moment of the show, the stakes really weren't that high. So you could just kind of live in the fantasy. And so for all of those reasons and the way that it really brought me and Mason together, I chose My Engineer.
It's a very good answer. Yeah, I feel like liking My Engineer at the beginning. Hang on, I really gotta mute this one chat. I'm sorry, I don't know how to turn off like the text notifications on my computer. I don't remember ever turning it on, and it's just been a problem. Okay. Sorry about that. I feel like liking My Engineer at the beginning was like liking BTS in like 2014, 2015. It's like, just you wait, this is gonna pop off. Like, it's really good. You should check it out, Yeah. My answer for favorite BL, I told Sunset About You. Sorry, I know we talked about that show a lot in this episode, but
It was that good.
I love it. You know what? It's our show. I can talk about, if I only want to talk about that, I can only talk about that. So.
Listen, Taylor Swift has swept Grammys in some years. Billie Eilish has done the same. Sometimes the Oscars is just one movie that gets all the main categories. That's kind of what I told Sunset About You is here. It is the show that ticks every box.
Yeah, it was the parasite of Boys Love this year. It just, everything about it was good.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mason told me a lot about why he chose I Told Sunset About You in a way that is definitely a bit more critical than mine. I mean, I definitely picked my favorite show based on sheer emotion. There was nothing technical about my engineer that makes it earn this award. But the technical aspects that Mason has talked about cannot be ignored. And they can't be ignored because of what they mean for how everyone else is doing Boys Love. There's no way you can tell me you can make a show like I Told Sunset About You, and then when somebody asks why other shows don't make any sense, or the plot lines are crazy, or it looks like it was filmed on a potato, that someone can dare open their mouths and say, well, who's going to put that kind of budget and thought behind a Boys Love?
Mm-hmm.
Because I Told Sunset About You exists.
Mm-hmm.
And just by it existing, it demands more of everybody else.
And I Told Sunset About You really felt like a show that was meant for gay people. And I think that's not what every Boys Love is for, unfortunately. But like, I don't know. Like emotionally, I totally got it. But My Engineer was an extremely close second. If we were doing best drama and best comedy, like the Golden Globes, My Engineer would have won best comedy. But if I had to pick one, I'm gonna go with Itzy. Itzy, not shy, not me. It's not the reason why I like it, because it reminds me of a K-pop group that I love.
I mean, there's never going to be enough words to talk about how special I Told Sunset About You is. It defined the year in a lot of ways. And I hope that more people will watch it. I hope it'll be discussed more. One of the things that has really prevented I Told Sunset About You from having the reach that a lot of the other shows we watch have had, even My Engineer, is the fact that it's not on YouTube, it's not online. And if you want to watch it with English subtitles legally, you have to pay per episode. And I think it's not even cheap. I think it's like $6 an episode.
It's a lot per episode.
Yeah, it's expensive. I mean, granted, there's only 5, but by the end of the series, you've paid close to $30 to watch this show.
Right. And it may be, even though it's like movie length, like that's still a lot. I don't know.
So I think that's kept a lot of people from really enjoying this. It didn't stop us, because you know what we do. Yeah. But I wish that's the only thing I could say is a negative about the show. Is I wish that it had the reach, because in a couple of different ways, not only do I think it would make Thai Boys Love better if the numbers matched the quality in terms of views and discussions and Twitter threads and everything else, but I feel like it would be something that countries that have emerging Boys Love markets would look at and be like, okay, we need to step our pussy game up. Because the reason why there is a Filipino Boys Love market right now is because of shows like Together and Sodas and Love by Chance becoming really popular in other countries. And people follow the trends. They look at a show like Together that's cute and at school and, doesn't have too much intimacy, and they're like, we could do that. Or they look at a show like Love by Chance, where the plot is full of like dramatic moments, and they're like, oh, we could do that. Or they look at a Tharn type, where it's just wild and insane and super popular, and like, oh, we could do that. If you feed them a show like I Told Sunset About You, what you're going to start to see in these emerging markets is going to wildly change. And that's a fact, because to be quite clear, there were only 2 choices for Taiwan this year for me. And I'm not even talking about Your Name Engraved Herein. I'm talking about Because of You and Craving You. Taiwan's Boys Love market dried up significantly after the history series, because the history series was so good, and people kind of felt like, if I'm going to do it, I've got to do it as good as the history series. And if I'm not going to be able to do it that good, I'm not gonna. But when the history series proved to be a financial failure for the people who made it, it made the market shy away from trying to do that anymore. And so Because of You did all right, Craving You did okay, but big series with like longer episodes and more episodes, that just isn't happening in Taiwan right now, because these shows aren't becoming huge smashes. But that's changing, because History 3 Make Our Days Count was massive in Japan. Massive in Japan. And because of that, the history series is being revived. So if a show like I Told Sunset About You was to become massive in the Philippines and massive in Korea, then what we're going to get from Korea is not going to be these little watered down webtoon, oh, I like you, but I'm shy. It's going to be real shows, because they're going to see that there's a market for this and there's money that can come out of this. And so that's the only thing I regret about I Told Sunset About You, is that it's so insular and it was so made for one market, but it has so much potential to do so much more good for the entire industry, that I just really wish that they would strike some kind of agreement with Netflix or WeTV or Line TV and get it out there so everyone else can see it. Because I promise you, if more countries can see it and it can get more talked about, it will change the way people are doing these shows.
I agree. And it's a very universal story that's being told.
Oh, absolutely.
So
there's no part of life that you can't get it. If you're a mom, you get it. If you're a sister, you get it. If you're a brother, you get it. If you're a dad, you get it. Everyone can get this story. It's not that hard, you know? And also, like, let's be very candid here, because we talked about it briefly in our last episode, but it bears repeating. Boys Love traditionally has been written by women for women. And it's done a huge disservice to gay communities.
Yeah.
And I feel like a show like this could do so much in adding back the humanity and the complexity of human beings to the Boys Love narrative. Instead of having your bottom uke character be an avatar for the girl in the relationship, let it actually be shows about two boys, two men in love.
Agreed. So I hope you enjoyed our award show. I hope you had a drink, some snacks, had a good time. We would have drank, but we started recording at 10 a.m. PST. So a little too early for me to get drunk.
Yeah.
I guess it's 5 o'clock somewhere, but it's still a little early. So Sam, I do have a final question for you.
Okay.
2020 is almost over. You watched a lot of BL. What are your top 5 BL of 2020? It doesn't have to be in like a specific order, but I mean, I guess My Engineer would be number 1, but your favorite BL of 2020, your top 5.
Okay, so it's definitely My Engineer. I Told Sunset About You. Game Boys. Cherry Magic. Life, Love on the Line. Listen, Life, Love on the Line deserves a lot because it gave me something that no one else could give me, a happy ending for Hao Ting and Shigu.
Yep.
So, I mean, that moment alone, when we found out that that moment was real, the timeline was ablaze.
Yeah.
And it was this small, small. And it still was everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Good picks. I agree. So I just said about you, my engineer. Um, okay, you're definitely not going to agree with this, but I really enjoyed Why Are You? Like, it's objectively kind of a bad show, but like something about it I find very charming and weird. And I just thought it was like a fun watch. So Why Are You? I think is fun. Like, listen, okay, I know that I act like really pretentious on this show, like, haha, I am the tastemaker, but my opinions are trash. Like, if you ask me what my top 5 movies were, you're gonna be very confused by the list. Why Are You? Oh my god, what even came out this year? I feel like I didn't like any. I haven't. There's nothing in this back half that was that good. So Life, Love
I
on
should
the
have chose Together on my list, but I'm not gonna because I'm ornery like that.
Live Life on the Line, and yeah, maybe Together. Maybe Together Because of You could take the 5th spot. Yeah.
So I made a list of all the BL I watched in 2020. I'm just gonna read it for you real quick. Together, Cherry Magic, Because of You, Craving You, End of Love, This Is Love Story, End of Love, Tasara, End of Love, Love Mechanics, Friend Zone 2, I Told Sunset About You, Ingredients, Life, Love on the Line, Love by Chance 2, Mr. Heart, My Engineer, My Gear, Your Gown, Oxygen, Cypher's On Story, Roommate, Still Together, Tharn Type 2, The Moment, The Shipper, Theory of Love, The Special, Tonhon Chonlathi, Where Your Eyes Linger, Why Are You, Why, The Special, Stage of Love, which was a Vietnamese show, Game Boys, Hello Stranger, Hookup, My Day, Quarren Things, Gaia Sapolicula, Boy Band Love, My Extraordinary, Ben and Jim, Better Days, Boys Lockdown, and the one girl love show I watched, Pearl Next Door.
It's a lot.
With a list that big, it can be hard to pick your top 5, much less not feel regrets after you say it out loud and be like, damn it, I should have picked that other show.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you ask me the worst boys loves of 2020, that list, I feel like I could be a lot more happy with my choices.
Okay, so worst boys loves of 2020.
Let me consult the list here. First place, because it just deserves, Love by Chance Season 2. It is the worst boys love of the year because it takes everything you loved about the original and just basically shits on its face.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, hands down the worst. Also, fuck you forever, Mean and Plan, you absolute pieces of garbage. You totally ruined any kind of charm or character or affection that anybody had for your characters in season 1. And it's not even totally Mean's fault. It's really mostly Plan because you sat there and let yourself get licked like a dead fish by a dog. But Mean, this is your fucking friend. You should have pinched him and said, listen, cut the bullshit. You're affecting our paychecks here. Act like you know what the fuck you're doing. Be a professional. But you didn't. Instead, you decided to try to make up for it as best you can by going for the neck or going for the shoulder instead of going for the kiss because you knew that he was just going to sit there with his lips pressed together and mop and just, I don't want to do that anymore. So fuck out of here. And Perth, I love you. I think you're super talented, but why do you even come back? Why did you even fucking come back? I cannot think that this did anything for your burgeoning music career. I don't think this did anything for your visibility. I don't think that this show did any fucking thing for you. So why did you come back? And the way you guys treated Kuhart is unforgivable. Unforgivable. There's nothing good about Love by Chance season 2 other than the idea that maybe it was such a colossal failure that they won't do a season 3. But I'm telling you right now, Saint, if you drag your raggedy ass back there to do season 2, because I'm calling you raggedy if you even consider it, then you might as well call it a complete wrap because even you being in a season 3 cannot salvage it. Saint, you've had a really rough time of it. It seems like every time you do a show, somebody screws you over and you don't seem like an awful person. You seem like a decent person, but you cannot get involved with Love by Chance ever again. You have got to let it go. You really have got to let it go. Don't let them convince you. Don't let them sweet talk you. Don't let them offer you anything other than guaranteed money, and you need to get all of it up front. Because this show's not worth it. It's never going to be worth it. It was never worth it in the first place. Love by Chance season 1 was an anomaly. And if it wasn't for you and Perth and your chemistry, it would not have popped off the way it did. Don't let them trick you into ruining your career. So that's number one.
The long number one.
Yeah. Number two is In of Love to Sarah. We did best newcomer of the year because we're kind enough people not to do worst newcomer of the year, but let's all be very honest. Dr. Tosakan is the worst actor of all boys love time. And I've watched a lot of low budget shows because the Philippines boys love market doesn't have a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But that monologue he delivers at the Moons competition in Tosara is the stuff of absolute horrible legend. Mm. The fact that none of his emotions make it to his eyebrows is obscene. The fact that they describe him as being this super attractive, muscular, handsome stud doctor, and it's this piece of flimsy, taffy looking, silly putty bodied, unable to act whatever the fuck. I hate him. I hate him. I hate you. I hate you. You're terrible. And the fact that you had the unmitigated gall and hubris to talk about what a great job you did for your first starring role. Have you seen the finished product? Are you just going by how you felt when you finished filming, or did you actually look at what you delivered? Because if you look at what you delivered, it was a bunch of horse shit. It was unwatchable. It was absolutely unwatchable. You were completely, how can you be wooden and also jelly at the same time? I've never seen it done until this very day. But you, sir, are a wooden actor made of jelly beans. I hate you. You ruined that show. And it wasn't even like it was a show that had a super bad plot. It wasn't a problematic plot. It had some really nice consensual moments and talking out relationships and like kind of getting two people on the same page and not being, you know, hyper, what was it called? Where you're attached to somebody.
Obsessive?
Yeah. Like there were some moments talking about like not being codependent. Mm-hmm. So like there were some really good conversations that took place in this show, but you just suck. You just suck. And you set the tone for the remainder of what would be the miserable failure of In of Love. And the fact that people still to this day are mad at our review of Love Mechanics as if we weren't watching the same fucking show dealing with someone who in the book gets, trigger warning, sexually assaulted, raped, and the guy is cheating on his girlfriend through the next wall, bitch. They share a wall.
Okay, I feel like we really need to talk about the fact that I cannot believe End of Love was such a success this year. It blows my mind that it was super watched and loved by people because the acting was good in almost none of them. The story was trashed in every single one. And it was super problematic. And it wasn't well lit. It was ugly. Like, the redeeming quality of anything, there were two redeeming qualities in the entirety of all three of them. One was the talks about consent and codependency in Tosara. Mm-hmm. Just the talk, the dialogue, not the acting, but the dialogue. That scene was lit to shit, by the way. That scene, the lighting, atrocious. Who did that? Second was both the lead actors for Love Mechanics are actually decent, and I think if given a better script, could be pretty good actors. But oh my God, what garbage that show is. It's garbage.
Absolute garbage. High key kiss my ass garbage. So that'd be number two. Number three is a show that you haven't been watching, but a show that I watched to completion, a show called My Day. There are a lot of people who love My Day, like really and sincerely do. Like it is their pick for like best boys love of the year. So calling it my least favorite seems shocking because I know how different people's opinions will be, but this is what I don't like about My Day. My Day treats boys love as if it doesn't matter as long as there's skinship. And Why Are You could be considered a little bit guilty of that, but for the fact that Why Are You was never intended to come out the way that it did. It was intended to go a totally different way, and then COVID ruined the shit. But there are legitimate scenes in My Day where you can tell that the actors had no script. How do you film a show, pay for clothes, pay for lighting, pay for camera equipment and sound equipment, but you don't take the time to write a script?
Like, there are some movies and TV shows that have a lot of improv, but they're like professionally trained improvisers, you know? Like Best in Show, or a lot of The Office was improvised. But like,
a lot of Will Smith movies, or not Will Smith, Will Ferrell movies are improvised.
Right, because they hired funny people to do it, not just like kids off the street, and we're like, well, y'all got a fucking 5 minutes, so fill the time.
Yeah, it just read so wrong. It felt like the director was completely absent. There were scenes where people were crying and trying to make confessions, and they would say the same exact words over and over again because there was no script to reference to go on to the next line. And it was just a mess. And I don't care if you like the fact that they were so explicit in the sex scenes. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying you can't be. I'm saying that once we stop having sex, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing once we stop having sex? So the storyline in My Day, for those of you who may not have watched the show, a young guy is in his last year of university, and in order to get his degree, he has to do an internship. So he does an internship at Ace of Cakes. And he goes to Ace of Cakes and he gets this internship because he was the top student in his class, and the top student always gets this internship. And he meets Ace, who is the son of the owner of the company. And at first they have a lot of friction and, you know, they don't really get along, but then he saves Ace's life when Ace almost drowns in the hotel pool during a company retreat. After that, they become friends, but it's very obvious that Ace is like being friendly, but also is kind of in love with Sky. And I think that's his name. I could be wrong because it's been a minute. I didn't rewatch the series. Well, finally, Sky realizes that he loves Ace back. And so they have a relationship. But Sky had broken up with a girl who was a bitch. Like from day one was a bitch, was never a nice girl. She went to his house and complained about roaches and about how they're poor and their food is gross. He still takes her on the retreat with this company. She complains the whole time they're on the retreat. They come back, he breaks up with her. She can't accept that he is gay or that he wants to break up with her. So she proceeds to kidnap Ace's dog, threatens to kill it, and only because one of her friends kidnapped the dog and brought it back to Ace. That's the only thing that kept her from killing this man's dog. She has cameras put into a hotel room that Ace and Sky are in, films them having sex, and then proceeds to put their sex tape on the internet. And then after doing that, shows up at Sky's house and is like, fuck you, why are you gay when you should get back together with me? And do you know what Ace and Sky's response is? I'm sorry I hurt you.
The response should have been 911.
Someone please call 911. I have shot a bitch in my living room and I think she's dead. Like, seriously, like, I would have killed you in that moment. And she never apologizes for putting their sex tape on the internet. Never once. Instead, they apologize to her and hug her and tell her it's okay and everybody's friends and we're going to have a happy ending. And at the end of the show, Sky graduates from his university and talks about, I'm so glad you're giving me this opportunity as valedictorian to talk about why it's okay that I'm gay. Which is a speech that everyone in the audience could relate to at graduation. But yeah, it's a terrible fucking show. There was no care put into the actual plotting. It was all about getting into the boys' love market as quickly as possible, trying to be as steamy as possible, and get as much attention for the steaminess as possible. Honestly, but
the show sounds crazy, and I kind of want to watch it.
You should watch it. I encourage everyone. even if a show is like the worst show, I encourage people to watch it just so that they can make up their own mind. But yeah, that show was garbage and I hated it. My next number 4 is a show called My Extraordinary, also in the Philippines. Spoiler alert. There's a guy who is in university, and he is in university to become a playwright, and he gets awarded the opportunity to do his own 1-act play, a monologue, and he cast his best girlfriend, the girl who lives next door. They've been childhood friends forever. She has a crush on him, but he's kind of like, I don't have a crush on anybody. And in the meantime, he meets a kid named Shakespeare. Weird. Anyway, they meet through random circumstance and they become friends. Soon that friendship turns into love, and it turned into them going off on a vacation together and exploring their love for each other. But the girl, who is his friend, neighbor, secretly in love with him, gets mad when she realizes he's never going to return her feelings. So she goes to his house and tells his mother, hey, did you know that your son is at your vacation house having sex with his boyfriend? So the mom calls him and says, you get your ass back here right now. Or no, get your ass back here tomorrow because I need to talk to you about this gay shit. So he and his boyfriend get in the car and they're driving in the middle of the night. And of course he's crying and upset because his mom is mad at him and he doesn't know how to fix it. And he doesn't pay attention to what he's doing. And he and his boyfriend die in a car accident. This is halfway through the show. The rest of the show is their ghosts coming back to absolve everyone of their responsibility or role that they played in causing these two people to die in their car accident. Basically saying, we're in a better place and it's not your fault. And I'm sorry that I didn't make you understand and all this other stuff. And I get that this was a show that was the product of students. It wasn't financed by a big production company. It was actually made by the people that acted in the show. It was a very indie set. But I think we're all tired of burying our gays. And because of that, I just felt like in a year full of so many different kinds of portrayals of gay love and everything else, we didn't need this. We didn't need this. It wasn't required. It wasn't asked for. And it just felt like a cop-out in a lot of ways. So that's why I didn't like My Extraordinary. And there's other people that will disagree with me, but you know what? This is my list. So, you know, it is what it is. And then the last one that I'm going to say gets my award for worst of the year, The Shipper. BL to me can be manifest in many different ways. It doesn't always have to be the same. It doesn't have to be guys in university. It doesn't have to be guys in an office setting. It doesn't have to be guys who run food trucks. It could be any of those things. But what BL has to be is an actual relationship between two boys.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be two boys who consider themselves boys. So that means, like, I'm not ruling out trans people in any way, shape, or form, or people who are gender fluid, but it has to be people who say, I identify as a boy, you identify as a boy, we are in love, we are boys loved. Mm. This show has a character who, again, spoiler alert, she is a girl who is a fujoshi, and she is like madly in love with a boy at her school and his love with another guy, like her perceived love with another guy. And so she ships them and writes stories about them in real life, even though they are real people. She uses their real names, writes stories about them. And it causes them to kind of get in trouble at school. How is weird, but basically somebody knows that they've been writing these stories, confronts one of the boys, they get in a fight, and it caused them to get suspended from school. So she ends up on the back of one of the guy's motorcycle, and they get into an accident when he's trying to swerve away from a dog in the road. And they end up in the afterlife, where Jenny, our fave, is a goddess of death. And she's like, hey, you guys have to get on this ship to the underworld. You're dead. Come on, let's go. But then she looks at her book and their names are not in the book. So they're like, well, you got to bring us back to life because we're not supposed to be here. We weren't supposed to die in this accident. But when she brings one of them back to life, she brings the girl back in the boy's body. So she proceeds to do things in this boy's body that are out of character for him, and kind of finds out more about who he really was outside of what she fetishized him to be. And by the end of the show, it becomes clear that the boy's spirit is not coming back, because even though she wasn't meant to die in the accident, he absolutely was. And if she doesn't hurry back and get into her body, she's not going to be meant for this earth much longer either. The only way she can get back into her body is through true love's kiss, but she is in this boy's body. Her true love is this boy's brother, this boy's blood brother, same parents. This boy's brother is played by Ohm. They have a kiss while both of them are in boy bodies that pulls her spirit out and puts her back in her body. Meanwhile, Ohm's brother dies, and he knew that his brother was dead and going to die when all this was said and done. This is not a boy's love. From what I've described, from what I've seen, from what other people have seen, this is not a boy's love. And the fact that GMMTV chose this particular show to fill in the boys' love slot after Together, the series, says a lot about what the people in charge think of the audiences who watch boys' love.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of it is spent mocking the girls who love boys' love and are into fan fiction and stuff like that by portraying them as the worst sorts of people. It makes a mockery of like the people who are gay and who watch boys' love, because it's one of the few avenues where their story is told. It incorporates a weird incestual action. Even if there's no incestual intent, it's still an incestual action, which is disgusting. Mm-hmm. And it kills off the one character who actually did have a boys' love storyline without ever letting that storyline come to a satisfying conclusion. So it turns out that even though she'd been fetishizing this one boy and his friend together, they actually did have affection for each other. They never actually dated because he was dating another girl, but they actually did care about each other significantly. And by the time the one friend realizes that he's been in love the whole time, that's when it's revealed that he's never going to come back to his body. He's meant to die. He was always meant to die. And that's just bullshit. So yeah, that is the conclusion of my top 5. And I feel very confident in my choices for top 5 worst boys' loves of the year.
Was that also Samantha's rant?
Yes. You know, I couldn't end the year without giving you a little dose of negativity to carry you into the new one.
So you did bring up an interesting point that I do want to talk about. Is something that I do hope we see going forward in boys' love. I would love to see boys' loves that have leads that are trans or gender non-conforming. I think it would be great. I think that those stories are not even told in like US media. So I don't really know if we'll get that in Asian BLs, but I think that'd be really great. But they need to be casting actors that identify as that in real life. You know, you can't be casting a straight person in a trans role, and you should be casting gender non-conforming people. If you're gonna have a gender non-conforming character, cast a gender non-conforming person, because Lord knows they already do not get any screen time and have a hard time being cast anyways. So I think that would be great. I would love to see it. I would love to broaden the scope of that too.
I would love it. I would love to see a show in the same kind of super tropey high school university world where maybe a boy starts out dating a girl, but the girl discovers that, you know, these feelings I'm feeling actually mean I'm not a girl. I'm either gender fluid or identify as a boy. And kind of, the struggles of like maintaining that relationship and asking yourself, am I in love with your gender or am I in love with you?
I think that'd be interesting. I think it'd be interesting to have like the whole scope of different levels of what it means to be trans. Because not everyone completely transitions, Not everyone's trying to look like, not everyone that is female to male, goes under a full transition. And that's valid. And I think it's worth talking about.
Absolutely. The definition that trans means that you have a certain level of body dysmorphia is outdated. It no longer means that because you're trans, you wish you had the other person's set of genitalia. It means that you need society to view you in a certain aspect in a lot of ways. And because of that, I think that that is something that could absolutely be explored in Boys Love. And I think that a lot of people would like to see that story, because I think a lot of us have questions about a certain part of society that doesn't get explored enough, And so I think that that'd be really awesome. Also, I think that it'd be awesome to flip that shit in reverse, like put it to where, maybe two boys have been best friends forever and one of them starts transitioning early on and he realizes as this person transitioned, I'm in love with the girl that my best friend became. And how do I sync that up? Because I have this definition of who you were then, but now I'm meeting who you are now and I like who you are now, but I still care for who you were then. And also I don't want to mess up our relationship. So, help me navigate this, and also because there aren't enough stories about men loving trans women in the sunlight.
Because a lot of time it's deals with homophobia, because of course it is.
Right. So
actually, it's actually a plot line of season 4 of Big Mouth, which just came out on Netflix, where all the kids are at camp and one character comes back and she, is trans and is in the girls' cabin now and starts to have kind of a fling with one of the guy characters who she was friends with last summer. But when she's like, so they're like kind of hanging out in the woods, flirting a little bit. She's like, hey, let's take this back to camp. Let's go back to the bonfire. He's like, oh, but let's go back at different times, because even he's not comfortable with it. And yeah, we don't get that a lot. And I would love to see that in media across the world. So Boys Love, if anyone that works in Boys Love is listening, you already have Jenny. So let's give Jenny a show.
Yeah. One of the reasons I'm so grateful that we did Free Will Be Free this year is because it came the closest to daylight love. Jenny's character had someone who was like, I'm with you. You are mine. I claim you in every way, shape, and form. And I don't know why we can't make an entire story out of that, because there's so much to be said. And there's so many people who have been waiting to tell that story. And with Thailand being considered by most of the world one of the most accepting communities for transgendered people, I feel like they are the perfect community to begin that conversation of, how do you introduce your person that you love to your family? How much disclosure do you actually give? What do you do if maybe they find out about this person's dead identity before they've had the chance to share their dead identity? And so, any kind of treatment around that's respectful would be very welcomed by a lot of us who are watching the media. I would love to see the director of I Told Sunset About You be given a treatment for that, and really make it beautiful and really make it heartwarming and really make it something special.
Yes.
Because it deserves.
Well, we are far and beyond past the award show conversation. I don't have a manga of the week. Sam, do you have an Instagram of the week?
No, because this has been the award show. So, yeah.
All right. So the next show that we will be reviewing is Cherry Magic. After that, it's kind of in the air. I mean, if that one Taiwanese movie is going on Netflix, I definitely think we should review it after Cherry Magic.
I would love to. I think that would be a great idea. So I think that we're going to do Your Name Engraved Herein after we do Cherry Magic. And then probably by the time that review has gone up, perhaps Tonhan Chonlethi. Sorry guys, it's a mouthful. Hopefully Tonhan Chonlethi will be over by then, but also Manner of Death may be getting closer to concluding, which is another one we've all been looking forward to quite a bit. And one last side note before we go. As much as we have made allusions to how Boys Love has a political identity as well as a social identity, I want to give all of my love and positive energy and concern to those actors in Thailand who have put their necks out to protest the injustices in Thailand. The actress who plays the mother in He's Coming to Me recently was charged under a slander law in Thailand for speaking out against the king of the country. And if they're going after her as an actress, it's not going to take long before Tull from Manner of Death is there, till other actors are involved as well, and you start seeing them frozen out of the acting community and their opportunities dwindling and their support dwindling. So I applaud anybody who's willing to put their political foot forward in the face of possibly not having a professional career anymore. It's a huge sacrifice you're making, and it's not going unseen. So we thank you for that. We say the same thing to those actors in the Philippines who have spoken out against the regime of President Duterte and the way he's absolutely bungled COVID in the Philippines. Not that us as Americans can talk, but the fact that they have spoken out not only against the handling of COVID, but they've also talked against the laws that they passed that now allow them to basically incarcerate anybody who says, thinks, appears to do anything against the Duterte administration, that they have been so vocal in their acceptance and support of SOGI laws and bills for the Congress in the Philippines. And so as much as we've always said, you know, Boys Love should be reflective of its population, and we've been talking about the gay community, it also should reflect the values and beliefs of the people in the countries where these shows are made. And I'm just really proud of all the actors this year who have stood up for their home countries, who have stood up for the freedoms of the people in their home countries, and continue to speak out even at extreme personal peril.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for watching us throughout the year. It's been a lot of fun. There's as you saw, there's quite a few shows lined up. And I hope there might be one more before the end of the year episode, but if not, I hope everyone has a wonderful new year, and I hope 2021 brings everyone happiness, peace, health, and prosperity. All right. We'll see y'all later. Bye.